Welcome back to another episode of Surviving Tourism, everyone. I'm your host, Paula Sant'Anna, and the episode hasn't started yet. Actually, this is a little intro that I'm making for this episode because when I recorded this episode, the person I interviewed wanted to be referred to as Tegan Black so as not to expose their identity while they spoke about the crazy stuff that has happened to them because they were still employed by the company they speak about. That has since changed, so from now on, even though I talk to her and call her Tegan, this person, who is going to entertain you to no end with her stories, shall henceforth be known by her legal name, Rhawnie Vallins. So everyone, enjoy Season 1, Episode 3 of Surviving Tourism featuring Rhawnie Vallins. Welcome to Surviving Tourism, everyone. We have another episode for you today. A good friend of mine, all the way from Vancouver. It's Tegan Black. Tegan, welcome to the show.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here, man. Like, it's going to be so good. You are the queen of epic stories.
Well, let's see. We need to censor some of them.
Oh, no. I wouldn't, but I'll leave that up to you. So, guys, Tegan is a tour guide supervisor for a travel company. I got the privilege to work with her a couple of years ago, and why don't you just tell everyone like how we met and why we know each other?
I don't know exactly. I don't remember our first meeting, but we worked for the same company and we'd go on tour together. And I think that it was kind of just an instant bond. Like I feel like our personalities and our sarcasm is definitely at the same level. So I just, every time we were out together, be it like on tour or in our trivia club, we would just be laughing, like crying, laughing.
Oh my God, I totally forgot we were on a trivia team every Wednesday.
Yeah. Everyone, the Smarty Pints.
And let me tell you, I brought that spirit back here in Montreal when I moved back. I have a trivia team every Monday night. We go.
Yeah. We killed it.
I forgot. We did. We won that one time.
Yeah, we did.
And we won like a magic 8-ball.
Yeah.
I love that. But yeah, I remember how we met, by the way. So I had heard about you a lot because you've been with the company for a long time. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows you, but I was brand new to the company. And then we were going to Seattle. You were training me for a Seattle trip. You remember?
Oh, yes. That was a great story.
Yeah. So you were training me for a Seattle trip. We were there for one night, 2 days. And right off the bat, we got along super well, like had a good time in Seattle and whatnot. And then I remember we got to go on a bunch of trips together. Like we went on one where it was with like a school to the Rockies, and we had like 4 days together where we got to just like be the only adults other than the chaperones on a trip. So that was pretty cool.
One of my favorites was definitely when we were at Lake Louise and we were doing awkward family photos.
Oh! I'm pretty sure that was with the kids. That was when we went with the school group. Yeah. So we went to Lake Louise.
I still have those photos.
Okay, so first off, my hair was bleach blonde back then because I decided for whatever reason that was going to look good, even though my natural hair is brown. So I looked terrible. The roots were like deep into growing back in. And then we were in Lake Louise and I don't remember who was with us taking a picture. But whoever it was that came to take a picture, we decided to take family photo pictures, but you were like lying on my lap. So I was like cradling your head, like being all cute. And you look like a fucking dead mummy. It's like you literally look like you were passed out or deceased or something.
Yeah. Straight up Shavasana, but nothing. Yeah. It looked like I was...
It was so awkward.
Legit in like a casket.
I love that. That was so good. Well, so we've had a lot of trips together, which has been really cool. That's something I really miss because I've done like only solo trips since when I went to Europe. Like it's all solo. But my time in Vancouver was really good. But I know that even though I was there for about a year and a half and all that, and I have some great stories, you've been in Vancouver forever. I don't even know how many years. How many years?
Yeah, 15 years maybe I've been out here. About 15 years, probably, yeah.
So I know you got something up your sleeve, so I'm just going to let you just go. You got the floor.
Okay, well, let's just kick it off with my very first trip, I guess, with the company that I still work for. And my very first trip that they sent me off on my own, I was super excited. You know, this little rookie going to the Rockies for the very first time. Yeah. Super excited to be on that bus. And they sent a helper with me, a male helper. He was from Brazil, and it was his last trip. He was going back to Brazil. Kind of a shy guy, you know, he didn't really make eye contact. He didn't really talk that much, but he was super helpful in everything that he did. And so the first night we're in this small town, Valemont, and we had our get to know you barbecue and campfire, and everybody was really getting to know each other, like everybody from different countries on the bus. And everybody's, you know, having drinks, and we're playing music and dancing, and it gets pretty late. So my roommate decides to go to bed, and what I forgot to mention is that somehow they messed up the rooming, and so we had to share a room. There's 2 separate beds, but there's nothing else that they could do, so we had to share a room with 2 separate beds, and there was nothing that they could do to fix it.
And usually you don't share with opposite sex.
No, we
right?
don't usually, and plus I didn't know this guy at all. I'd never met him. So yeah. He decided to go to bed first, so I said, okay, and it's one of those old school, like, actual keys, not a key card. So I said, just prop the door open. And he does, and about 15, 20 minutes later, I finish my wine, and I go up to bed and grab my jams and my face wash and my toothbrush, and I head into the washroom. Cozy. And I go get changed, and then hop into bed, turn off the light, say goodnight. He says goodnight. And then about 5 to 10 minutes later, I hear Kleenex and a squirt of the lotion. And this guy just starts going to town on himself. And I was like, no, this can't be like this. And I look over and I see the sheets moving up and down. I'm like, no, no. So I was like, okay, what do I do in this situation?
I love the squirt of the lotion. Just like a pump or single pump or double pump?
It was a double pump, I think.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I got up and I left, obviously. And I was out on like the patio, and I called the owner of the company who was on call, and I said, hey, this is the situation, this was happening. And it was about 1:30, and he's like, you're joking. I'm like, I'm not effing joking. Like, I wouldn't joke about something like this. Haha, you know, sorry to wake you up. My assistant's masturbating beside me, like, no joke. Super awkward.
But wait, after he was done and you got up to make this call, did he notice you were awake, or did he go to the bathroom?
He was in the middle of it. He wasn't done. Like, I left in the middle of it.
So he knew. He made eye contact with you as you left.
No, it was dark. So I just got up. I didn't look at all. I just left and closed the door. And then my owner was just like, or the owner of the company was just like, just waited out 15, 20 minutes. So I just hung outside in my pajamas on the patio and just waited. And then I went to bed, and the next day, no eye contact. I didn't even speak with him. And then we got to Banff. God. And there was a bunch of other tours going on. So one of my friends was also in Banff, and I told her what happened, and she was on a different bus doing a different route, and she said, dude, just stay in my room. She got me a big bottle of vodka, and we did some shots as soon as I got to her room. And as soon as we got to that hotel, though, my assistant tried to grab my bag, and I was like, don't touch my stuff, don't touch my bag. And then our third night, I was in Panorama, and he's like, oh, I'll take our stuff to our room. And I said, there's no our room. And I just went and got a different room altogether.
Oh,
and I think that he met somebody on the tour and ended up making out with her, and, you know, found love for a night.
Jesus.
So. But yeah, that was my very first trip with the company on my own. So started off with a bang, literally.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like, it just shocks me that he's midway through, his roommate, who he's never met, gets up in the middle of it, and he doesn't stop. He like keeps going.
Yeah. I guess, like, I don't know.
Is it like peeing where, like, you can't really stop midstream?
Well, I mean, you'd have to ask one of your guy friends, I suppose. I don't know. I've never had that urge that so bad that I'm going to do it when there's somebody in the room that I don't know.
You know, it turns me on the most when there's a stranger in the bed next to me.
Yeah. I don't know if he thought that it would turn me on and I'd hop in there. I don't know what was going through his mind, but
oh my God, that's crazy. I love that though, because I don't love that happened to you. Let me be clear. But I just love that that's your first experience, because I find the first trip usually something happens. Something big, something memorable happens. So I love first trip stories.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a good one. That was a good way to kick it off. I mean, that was a memorable one for sure. And the thing is that that was his last trip. Like, as soon as we got back on the Monday, he was leaving on the Tuesday to fly back to Brazil. So he couldn't even be reprimanded or anything. It was just, he was just bang and gone.
Crazy, man. Crazy. I remember when you were saying like, oh, my first trip, I'm like, oh, what happened on my first trip? And I'm like, on my first trip to the Rockies, brand new guide. I'm part Brazilian, part Canadian. So when I get on a bus and literally 50% of the bus is Brazilian and 50% is Mexican, and they love each other because they almost speak the same language. They really understand each other.
Yeah.
It's like a joy for me because not only can I do all the commentary in English, but if anybody needs help, because I speak Spanish and I speak Portuguese, I got you. So I get on this bus. I'm so excited. And this bus was unique because of the 51 people, I remember how many people were on this fucking bus. That shows you something, okay? Because this is part of the story. Of the 51 people on the bus, 50 of them were students with their chaperones. So we had like a big Mexican group with one chaperone and then 2 Brazilian groups with their chaperones. And then there was one seat left that we opened up to the public. And one Brazilian lady, 60-something-year-old Brazilian lady, I'm not going to use her name, of course, but her nickname was Nena, okay? Mm-hmm. Nena bought this ticket. And immediately, everybody got along with each other. It was great. We had a great first day. But on day 3, shit hit the fan. Okay, so you know as well as I do that day 3 is that big stretch between Jasper and Lake Louise where it's called the dead zone. So basically, when you're driving on this road, which is one of the most beautiful highways in Canada, Highway 93, you have no cell phone reception. So as a guide, you have to time everything that day and know how long it takes from every stop that you want to hypothetically make to your activity, which is like non-refundable and a big highlight of the
super
trip.
Strict.
Yeah, super strict. Like you have to be there on time. It's in the middle of the dead zone. So you have to plan everything perfectly so you can make your activities, make everything, and then, rock up to your hotel before your driver runs out of hours. So we go and we're driving. And then we wanted to hit up Bow Lake. We get to Bow Lake. We're having a great time. And then one of the chaperones turns to me and she says, and she was so sweet. Like she had been chaperoning and working with us for 16 years. She was like, oh, you know what I really love? Peyto Lake. I know it's not far from here. I haven't been there in 16 years. It would just mean the world to me if we went to Peyto Lake. And I had never taken anyone to Peyto Lake before. So I was like, maybe don't push out on the first trip to go there. But we were like way ahead of schedule. We were doing so good. We were like half an hour ahead of schedule. So I'm like, no problem. So we get to Peyto Lake. And here's the issue, okay? First thing you should know about Peyto Lake, so I'd never been there before. You're in the middle of the dead zone. You go to Peyto Lake, it's like a bit of a uphill to get to the parking lot.
A bit of a hill. It's a kilometer above sea level, so you're up there.
Yeah. You're up there. But what I mean is like from the highway to the bus parking lot, you go up. But the car parking lot is down. So just imagine like this. You go up from the highway, like you exit the highway, go up, park at the top if you're a bus, okay? At the bottom, basically where the highway is the car parking lot. Now, when you park at the top, there's a path that goes directly to the lookout point so you can see the lake because it's too far away to like touch the water or anything. And that takes it's like a 5-minute walk downhill. But here's the problem. I did not know that there was actually other paths connecting to the lookout point. So you can see where the story is going to go. So basically, I tell my passengers, like, guys, we're going to be here for a half hour. Let's go. And I follow the one path down to the lookout. And when I get there, I see that there's 2 other fucking paths connecting. And I'm like, people are going to go the wrong way. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to enjoy myself the lake. This is the first time I'm seeing this lake. Picture. Then I'm going to go back to the path that is the one that I should be on, which was the middle path. And I'm just going to direct people up there. So I did that. And as people were going to the wrong path, I'm like, no, come this way. And I get everybody. I walk back up the 5 minutes and I count everyone. I'm like, 1, 2, 50. I must have miscounted, right? So I kind of gave 50. And I'm like, oh my God, that's twice now. Who the fuck is missing? And then I look, and who sits right next to me? Nena, the one passenger that does not have a chaperone taking her into account. And keep this in mind, Nena did not speak a lick of English. So of course I'm like, oh fuck, I lost Nana. So I run back down. I'm yelling Nana like in front of hundreds of people. We're like, shut the fuck up. I'm trying to enjoy the view. No Nana. So I freak out. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, at this point, there's 2 other trails that I could run to see if she's there. I'm like, fuck it. Tie up my shoelaces. Let's go. And I hate running with a passion. I go and I run the trail that goes on the left. And all it does basically is a longer loop back to the bus parking lot. So then I end up back at the bus. I'm like, oh, I didn't see her in the trail. Maybe she's back at the bus. Maybe I just missed her. Yell for her at the bus. Not there. I'm like, fuck. Ran back down the 5 minutes again to the lookout. Ran the other trail. After running 10 minutes on this trail, like as fast as I could possibly run, I literally sweat my entire body weight twice. I realized, fuck, I'm running out of time. Like, I'm going to miss this activity. Like, where the fuck is this person? I'm literally freaking out. Like, run all the way back up to the bus. And I say, drive down to the car park and I'll run up the trail and see if maybe like when I ran down, I just didn't run down far enough. Yell everywhere, nothing. Run up the trail, nothing. I literally ran every trail once and I'm sweating. And I'm like, oh my God, I lost a passenger in the dead zone who's in her 60s and doesn't speak English. Couldn't get any worse. But I have to go. 49 out of the 50 people on the bus were in the activity that I had to be at, which was an hour and a half away. And then the chaperone who had been with us for so long was like, no, please, I'm bilingual. I'm the only one not doing the activity. Let me stay. I will stay. I will find her. I will keep her at the lookout. And then when you come back, like, you'll be okay. Like, you can trust me. And I would never, ever, ever make a passenger stay behind. But this woman was bilingual and the other one wasn't. So she really convinced me, like, this might be a good idea, especially because the lady can't even call the emergency number that she has, because we give everybody an emergency number, but she can't call anybody. So I'm like, okay, you can stay here, but I will be back in 3 hours. So I leave her. I run back to the bus and I turn to my driver. Let's call him Tom. And I'm like, Tom, go.
Fire,
so Tom like Flintstones the bus, like just we race to the fucking activity. Okay, I get to the activity and I go to pay for it and I'm like, hey, I'm one person shy, can we just get like a refund? No refunds, but she would pay less, like it's like a no-show fee. So I even go and I get this lady a fucking no-show fee. Okay, I get the ticket and now I can't take them on the activity, so now I look to my most trusted chaperone and I'm like, here you go. So she's like, no, don't worry, I got this. I set everybody up with her. I get on the bus, we shut the door, and as we're just like backing up out of the parking lot, everybody starts smacking on the door. Oh my God, what happened? Like, did I forget something? Did I give them the receipt instead of the ticket? So I open the door, I'm like, what's up, guys? And who's fucking there but Nana? The passenger I lost 1.5 hours away at Pado Lake. And it was like seeing a ghost. I was like, oh, Nana, how did you get here? Like, how is this possible? Am I dreaming this? She's like, oh, I accidentally took the wrong path, And then I ended up and there's all these cars and I was so confused. But thankfully I found these nice Spanish speaking ladies. So they let me join their tour group.
Oh my gosh.
And then they brought me here.
No.
I was like, wait a second. You're telling me that you found maybe like the few tourists there that spoke a language that was remotely related to yours. They offered you a ride and they happened to be going to where you were going to go, even though she didn't know the name of where she was going. So they could have brought her the other way, back where we came from. No, they fucking dropped her off at exactly where she needed to be before we got there. Which means that she basically saw the lake for 5 minutes and then started walking to the parking lot. So she was out of the parking lot and in the car of a stranger before I even knew that she was missing.
Oh my gosh. It's too much.
And then I was devastated because not only did I leave someone behind and now I gotta go back 1.5 hours to go pick someone up that didn't need to be there, but now I also gotta run back to the office to buy your fucking ticket back because I sold it back to them. So I ran back, I bought her ticket, I gave the new ticket, and I literally grabbed her hand and grabbed the chaperone's hand and made them hold hands the whole time. And I was like, don't let go of each other, okay? Gosh. If you get lost again, I can't help you, Nana. Then I run back to the bus and I'm like, okay, Tom, go. I don't have any more energy in me. Just fucking go. We need to find our other passenger. We're hauling ass. We made it in 1 hour instead of an hour and a half. That's how fast Tom drove. And as we're hauling ass, I kid you not, a black bear crosses the highway in like super slow-mo, just like ginger paces. And I looked at him and he looked at me and I'm like, stop! And he brakes and you can hear the bus go like just trying to stop, and this bear is looking at us and doesn't pick up the pace. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna kill the bear. And literally, like, the back fur of this bear's butt and our bus passed each other and just went like just whooshed by each other. And I'm like, oh my God, like literally nothing could be worse at this point. Like, we lost a passenger, we found her, then we lost another one, then we almost killed a black bear. Like, please tell me this is over. We park in the parking lot of Pado Lake. I run to the lookout. She's not there. I'm like, no fucking way. No fucking way. I lost another passenger. How is this possible? She would never not be here unless she was still looking for the passenger. So here I go again, running all 3 trails one more time, screaming her name. Then I just hear a little like, Paula? And I'm like, oh, I found her. I look, and she was like in the middle. There was like a message board. She was in the message board, like next to a message board. And she was handwriting notes from like a pen and paper that someone had given her and leaving little notes all over Pado Lake parking lots, and then walking from one note to the other saying, and the note said, Nana, wait here, I'm coming for you. And then her name, I can't remember what her name is. And literally just so cute, like just trying for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
This saint of a woman was looking for my passenger, a baby angel. Yeah. And I was like, we found her. I don't have the energy to explain this to you right now. Let's just walk the kilometer up back to the bus and get the fuck out of here. What a reunion it was. Like, everybody was crying. There were hugs all around. Like, they apologized, or Nana apologized to me so many times. I'm like, it's okay. Please just don't get lost again. This is my first trip, and I'm 3 days in out of the 4, and I just can't do this again.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the craziest thing that's ever happened to me on tour. To this day, the first trip.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones with misunderstanding. Speaking of the ice fields, I remember once when I was there, and we were doing a reverse route, so we'd come from Jasper, and I had this couple, and they were newlyweds, so they hadn't traveled very much. They're very simple people, you know, and they're super excited about everything to be on tour.
Yeah.
And they didn't do the Ice Explorer activity, so they were waiting. But I did have 3 other guests, and their English level was really low. And so, you know, when you're up walking on the glacier, if you don't get back on the Ice Explorer, then you're stuck up there, or you have to come back down with another tour. So these three girls, their English was really low, as I said.
Wait, but just before you continue, because I know what you're talking about, but I don't think the listeners are going to understand. When you do this tour, you take like snow coach, is what they call it?
Ice Explorer snow coach, yeah.
Yeah, you take this big like Hummer / limousine baby that goes on ice,
it's like a tank
and they drive
on ice, yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive vehicle, and you take it on the ice, and it brings you to the spot where you take your pictures, and then you come back on it, and they've timed it perfectly, so you have to make sure
30 minutes.
that you abide by their time restriction, because if you miss it, then there's not a spot on the next one for you necessarily.
Yeah. So these 3 girls, they managed to get on another Ice Explorer to come back down to meet our bus. But what they did in mistake is they got on a different tour bus, and that different tour bus headed towards Jasper. And when they realized that they were on a totally different tour, they started crying, and I guess got off the bus and then hitchhiked and got a ride back with another car. But in this time, because we were waiting at least 2 hours for these girls to come back, and I had heard that they were with another couple, and they were on their way back. So we had to bide our time. So I was teaching our bus how to do the line dance, because that night we were going to go to Wild Bill's, this country bar in Banff. We were going to learn how to line dance in 2-step. So I threw on some music on the speaker, and I'm teaching them the dance and just, you know, trying to bide the time. And then one of the guy that was one of the newlyweds, super excited, super simple, he said, can I use the washroom on the bus? Because I don't want to walk the 5 minutes into the building to use the washroom. And I said, yeah, I mean, like, I guess so. We shouldn't be here for that much longer. But if it's quick, then use it. So kind of implying that if you have to pee, use it. But if you're going number 2, you should probably go inside. It's common sense, right? I guess not. So he's in there for a while. Then these 3 girls, they show up and they're crying. They're so upset. And I'm like, just get on the bus. Let's go. And our next stop is Peyto Lake. But at Peyto Lake, there's no public washrooms. So one of the girls that was lost, she didn't have time to use the washroom before we left the Columbia ice field. So she's crying. And she said to me, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Can I use the washroom on the bus? And I said, no worries. You know, everybody else is down at the lake, looking at the lake. And she goes to use the washroom. And then immediately comes running off the bus in tears. And I thought, you know, it's okay that you went the wrong way. You went with another tour. It's fine. Like, don't worry. And she said, no, it's not that. She was crying because of the state of the washroom on the bus. And I said, what's wrong? She said, poo-poo everywhere. And I said, what? And she just said, poo-poo everywhere. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, and then she was almost barfing and crying. Maybe her eyes were watering. And she's like, poo-poo everywhere. So then our bus driver, who has since become a really good friend of mine, she went back to assess the situation, and she just said, fuck this, I can't. And I guess there's an external flush. There was literally poop everywhere. So she had to flush the toilet from the bus from the outside. Don't worry about it. Let's just lock the bathroom, and we'll figure this out later. As we're driving down that big steep hill to get back down onto the highway, all the water, the poo water, starts overflowing and starts rolling through the bus. So the poo water was getting towards people's feet and people's bags. So I had to run back with packages of paper towels and other towels to clean up this disgusting black poop water. And I opened the washroom door, and there was literally poop everywhere. I don't know what this person did, if they put it in their hand like a monkey and spread it everywhere. I don't think it was malicious, but there was literally poop everywhere. I was barfing. There was poop water rolling through the bus. It was one of the grossest things. Bus drivers do not get paid enough money. Tour guides do not get paid enough money to deal with poop everywhere. And I mean, it was the worst I've ever seen. Like, air freshener did not cover it. Like, there was poo everywhere.
The way you said it, though, like, oh, I don't know if he just, like, put in his hands like a monkey. Like, fuck. I can only imagine this guy was like, I really need to shit. You know what? Let me just redecorate real quick. Just smear
I don't know
shit.
what happened. It was an explosion. But honestly, the best was the guests coming out crying. And I said, it's okay that you were lost. It's okay. You're here now. And she was like, no, poo-poo everywhere. She was so upset about the poo-poo everywhere.
I feel so bad for her, but also she made this fucking story with her line.
Oh my gosh. And she still couldn't use the washroom. And I had to send her to the trees because she couldn't go to the washroom in that washroom.
Oh, God. Poo-poo everywhere. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I said, you know, bus drivers are superheroes, in my opinion. They have a really tough job. But sometimes you get some, I mean, you and I had one when we went to Seattle, and he was heading the wrong way. Remember, we were heading towards...
Oh, my God. Remember that guy? And he hit a car that was parked and then swore for the next 15 minutes in front of all the passengers.
And wouldn't let us off the bus?
Yeah, he locked us in the bus. We were just stuck there. Hey guys, before we get to our next story, I just want to talk about an amazing new company called Sweet Ginger Bakes that's making the most delicious baked goods out of Ottawa right now. It's run by one of my best friends, Jess, who's sweet, a ginger, and can definitely bake. So if you're in or around the Ottawa-Montreal area, be sure to go on Instagram and follow her at sweetginger.bakes to send your orders in directly to her. Now, let's get back to the show. Surviving tourism.
I remember with my group, you know, we all meet in the morning and we're super excited for the tour. You're getting to know everybody and you wait for the bus to show up to load the bus, the luggage, and the passengers. And I remember waiting, and this bus was 20 minutes late. And at this time, I was training 2 new guides as well. So I was kind of going over procedures with them. 30 minutes passes, no driver. So I'm calling this driver, calling the dispatch, nothing. An hour passes, nothing. So at this point, you know, I go to Tim Hortons, I buy donuts and coffee for my guests because this is unheard of, right? And then almost 2 hours passes. And then finally the driver rolls up. And they had been waiting at Crab Park, which is super far. Get everybody loaded on the bus. And as we're taking our turn to leave the city, smokes a light post. So the mirror on the side comes flying.
Oh my
off.
God.
And it's banging.
I know
it's
who
banging
this is.
on the side of the bus.
I had that driver a week later, and
did.
he had
The
taped the mirror back.
Yeah, so then when we stopped in Hope, he got duct tape and taped it on. But before that, it was just hanging, going boo, 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 boo. You could hear it. He had to ask the passengers on the right side of the bus to check so he could pass lanes and turn safely, which was super unprofessional. Anyway, that wasn't our only pickup. We started at Canada Place, but we also had a pickup in Tsawwassen at the ferry terminal. And I had about 20 guests waiting for me there. The most angry guests, the angriest guests I've ever had, because they were waiting at that point almost 3 hours, thinking that we had just, forfeited the trip.
Yeah, because just to be clear, Canada Place is downtown Vancouver, and Tsawwassen is like, what, a half hour south of that?
Yeah, about 30, 40 minutes.
30, 40 minutes. Yeah,
right?
and it's the ferry terminal where you meet people that are coming from Victoria and all that, right?
Or the island, Vancouver Island. So we get them, and I'm trying to smooth it over, do some damage control, and people are just glaring at me, just daggers, and of course they're going to take it out on me, the guy, because I'm the one interacting with them. All at the same time, I'm trying to train these two new, very, very new guides, their very first trip. So I'm not really watching, and when I do turn around from Tsawwassen, we're supposed to be heading to Hope. Yeah. And we end up heading back to Vancouver. So when I notice, we're in Burnaby again. And I say to the driver, what are we doing? Why are we in Burnaby? And he said, my GPS told me to come this way. So then as GPS, I'm listening to it, and it says, turn left. I'm like, no, you're turning right. He said, the GPS. I'm like, F your GPS. You are going to listen to me from now on. So not only was he late, and then we're late picking up other passengers, we went back the way that we started, which took another hour and a half off in long weekend traffic. So the entire weekend, he's telling me, once we get to Alberta, I know where we're going. I grew up in Alberta. I know Banff. I know the gondola. I know the ice fields. Everything. Lies. He missed every single turn, and he would just be like, oh, did I? Yeah, yes, you did. Up until the last day, and then he finally admits to me, he's like, this is my first time driving a bus. This is my first tour. I've never been anywhere in Alberta before. And I said to him, why did you lie to me then? Why are you making this up? It was so surreal. And then I think the weekend after, you had him, and I said, Paula, I hope you don't have this driver.
Yeah,
and sure
so
enough,
I did. The next week I had him, and his mirror comes with just a roll of duct tape on it, keeping it on the thing. And I was like, hey, what happened to your mirror? And he doesn't tell me the truth. He's like, it got knocked off. And, I haven't been able to fix it since. So in the 7 days between your trip and my trip, he didn't fix the mirror and didn't tell me that he knocked it off himself by smoking a lamp, making a left-hand turn, which is fucking impressive because, it's easier to knock the mirror that's the turn that you're making. So a left-hand side mirror for a left-hand turn, a right-hand side mirror on a left-hand turn is fucking impressive.
Yeah, he had some skills that way. My gosh. I mean, like I said, they're superheroes. They have to put up with a lot. But the least that they can do is to know the itinerary and the route and not lie.
Oh, for sure. But you know what? Despite that driver, I know that's not your worst driver experience because I remember this one story you told me once.
Oh, no. This one.
Right. That's the one I want to hear again because I don't remember, crazy details, but I remembered the gist of it, so I gotta hear it one more time.
All right, okay, so here it is. I guess this is.
You're turning red.
This is the bomb, the big one, I guess, right? The end all. So I had this driver, and he was friendly, really chatty, but really touchy with the guests. And our first night, we're in Revelstoke, and generally, the drivers don't come out for drinks and for dinner, but this guy did. And he was buying shots for some of the guests and giving them back rubs and inviting them to his room. And so the guests asked me to speak with him. So I'd have to say, hey, buddy, can you not? You're making the guests uncomfortable. How about just not, touching them, just high fives or just a simple hello when they get on the bus is fine. You don't have to hug them and rub their back.
It's weird because even as a guide, you try to keep your hands to yourself as a driver, you
Yeah.
have even less contact with them. Like, why would you ever think that's okay to rub their back and invite them to your room?
Yeah. Anyway, so fast forward, the next day we get to Lake Louise, and I said, let's go have a little chat. And he just wanted to get to know me, and we're going to go to the cafe, and he was going to buy me a coffee. So he did, and we're sitting there, we're chatting and just making small talk. And so he said, oh, do you have a husband or boyfriend or kids? And I said, no, I actually have a girlfriend. And he is like, oh, can I see a picture? And I'm like, well, no. And he's like, oh, where's she from? And I said, Korea. And then he said, oh, I'd love to be on the end of your bed to watch that. And I was like, oh, well, that's not really how it works, buddy. So I was like, oh, well, I better go check on the passengers.
Did you actually say that's not really how it works? That's your answer to I want to be at the end of your bed watching that?
Like, I wasn't going to be like, sure, buddy. Like, here's my address. After the trip, come on over.
We love voyeurism. We're super into that.
Yeah, that's super what we're into. You know, tour guiding is my sidekick here.
No, tour guiding is how you find the middle-aged men that watch you from the foot of the bed.
Exactly. That's why I do this job. So then we get to Banff later on and check in to my room. And the hotel that we are staying in is pretty 70s. They need to renovate. And some of the rooms that they give the drivers have hot tubs. And they're like old 70s style hot tubs. And so he decides to hop in there. It's been a long day. I guess he wants to kick back and relax. And he sends me a message saying, water's in, floor to ceiling mirrors, come on over. And a picture of his penis, just the tip of his penis in the hot tub. Old man. He is like 70s probably. So I didn't even respond.
Well, the tip's the best part, right? He just wanted to send you the best part.
Yeah, so I didn't respond at all. The next day, I said to him, listen, I've sent this picture to my office, who has sent it to your office, and you're going to be dealt with when you get back. For the rest of the tour, do not talk to me. Do not talk to the guests. And if there's anything I need you to do, I will ask you, but there'll be no conversation. And made it clear that he could have, we could have replaced drivers right then and there. But yeah, so I'm not sure what he was thinking on,
oh my God.
On sending this, but I remember sending it to the office, and I just sent the picture, and they were like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, exactly, this is what I just received.
Crazy. Man, masturbating assistants, tip of the penis driver pics, like, you're a jubilee of sexual harassment. Well, Tegan, thanks for joining us here today.
My pleasure. What a fun trip down memory lane.
Yeah, I'm sure you have so many more stories, but maybe we'll have you back for another episode, and then we'll dive further into all the crazy stuff that happens to you, because it seems to only happen to you.
Thanks for having me.
Surviving